So real quick, everybody, before you get into this video on Poland and the row with the EU with regards to Poland's judicial system, this news just came in and it is saying that Poland will bow to EU's demands and dissolve Supreme Court disciplinary chamber, country's prime minister announces. So before you get into the video, which gets into some detail about what's going on between the EU, Poland, Ursula von der Leyen's speech where she says she will not allow Poland to run its own judiciary system. We have this announcement coming from the Polish Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, who has said that they will dissolve this chamber, which was the source of the problems between Poland and the EU. He said, quote, "It did not meet our expectations, agreeing to dissolve the mechanisms that were introduced. This should end the row between Poland and the EU for now. I am of the opinion that the minute you bow down to the EU, you are cooked, and they're going to start wanting more and more concessions from Poland. But it looks like this round has been won by the European Union, and Poland is backing down, and they're getting rid of this disciplinary chamber. As a matter of fact, the Prime Minister has called on the EU Court of Justice to establish a chamber that can act as an arbiter of disputes within the bloc. So not only is Poland backing down, but it seems that they are willing to give power to the EU to oversee the Polish courts and the EU Court of Justice, as a matter of fact, to sit on top of the Polish courts. Anyway, that is the latest news, breaking news with regards to Poland. Here is the rest of the video. Enjoy. We have to do a follow-up on the row between Poland and the European Union with this whole legal court situation. And we have this breaking news, and I'm on Sputnik News right now, with the title, "The President of the European Commission," I believe that's Madame Ursula von der Leyen, the failed German defense minister, who's now president of the European Commission. Anyway, von der Leyen says Brussels will not allow Poland to put Bloc's values at risk. Van der Leyen says that Poland is not allowed to decide how its courts will be run. There you have it, Poland. The EU is saying you are not allowed to decide how to run your court system. And of course, she always refers to this nefarious thing called EU values. What clever marketing. And I hear it all the time in Greece and Cyprus. I hear the Prime Minister Mitsotakis or Anastasiadis, the President of Cyprus, the Prime Minister of Greece, all their ministers, they always talk about EU values. Oh, bugger off. Bugger off with these EU values. What exactly are these EU values? Can someone outline these EU values for me? What exactly are they? Are the EU values to not allow democratic voting to take place? Are the EU values to not allow democratically elected leaders to run their country, to place bankers like Draghi at the head of countries like Italy? Are EU values to go to banks and to shut them down and just take the money like they did in Cyprus? Are EU values to put countries under austerity and to make the people suffer, leading to thousands and thousands of people committing suicide, and to destroy businesses and to lay off hundreds of thousands of workers so that you have unemployment rates of 20-25% in EU country? Those are the EU values? Or to mandate jabs that go against every human right that we've been led to believe since we were kids existed? Are those the EU values? To create a two-tiered society, jabbed and unjabbed. Those are the EU values that they're talking about. Or maybe it's all the wars that the EU participates in. Or NATO, which is just the military arm of the EU. All of those wars, from Syria to Libya to Ukraine, a coup in Ukraine, which the EU participated in, which the EU actively instigated. Those are the EU values. Van der Leyen. Van der Leyen, my God. Talk about failing up. Van der Leyen is the epitome of failing up. Perhaps the most comical defense minister in all of history in Germany, and she's appointed to run the EU. There are stories which say that van der Leyen was so bad as a German defense minister that she would have the German army participating in exercises, military exercises, and they didn't have guns. So she would give them broomsticks because she completely botched the German military. Like literally stories where they were like doing exercises with broomsticks. And now she's running the EU. Incredible. Anyway, the article from Sputnik, the news is that the European Union has been at odds with Poland over Warsaw's decision to introduce changes in the country's judicial system that gave the government more power over the courts. The Bloc, the EU deems the move undemocratic, while the governing party, Law and Justice, says the change was necessary because it reformed the inefficient system. Now, undemocratic, keep in mind, the Law and Justice Party won two elections. They were re-elected. How is that undemocratic? Now, if the people of Poland, because this is an issue that pertains to the people of Poland, if they feel that these changes are not right, then they can vote the Law and Justice Party out. Or the people could somehow call for a referendum. I don't know what the mechanisms in Poland, in the Polish constitution and Polish law are to hold their leaders accountable. And their leaders at this moment are the democratically elected politicians in the Law and Justice Party. They're running the government. They were voted in. So how is this undemocratic? Miss von der Leyen, please tell us. Miss von der Leyen said that the EU, and this is a quote, will not allow Poland to put EU values at risk. Addressing lawmakers in Strasbourg, Ms. von der Leyen said that a recent ruling by Poland's constitutional court poses a threat to the bloc's fundamental principles. The rule of law is the glue that binds our union together, she said. The rule of law, the glue that binds our union together. You want to know what this is? This is the EU going for a power grab against Poland. They want to run Poland's judicial system. Because if they can get the Poland's judicial system, then they can just get to every country's judicial system and run it. That's it. They want EU law to basically be the law of the land. Whatever the people in Brussels say, that's what every member state has to do. And that includes mandates, passports, jabs, QR codes, green energy, all of the BS, neoliberal, corrupt ideology that the EU pushes out. That's why this threatens von der Leyen and the people above von der Leyen, the people that are actually pulling that puppet's strings. Because they know if Poland actually is allowed, amazing that I say it, is allowed, as if they're not a sovereign country, to run their own judicial system, then every country might want to do the same thing. In other words, every country in the EU may actually be tempted to be sovereign. And that's a problem for Europe. You can't have one country break the rules of EU membership, right? You can't have one country break away, not break the rules, break away from EU ideology. Because if one country breaks away, well then other countries may follow. Can't have that. Every country has to buy into EU ideology. And now that means EU's running the courts. That's what this is all about. So let's see. Poland's Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, sent a letter to EU leaders in which he tried to win their support for Poland's ongoing standoff with Brussels. The Prime Minister said Warsaw had been acting in the interests of all EU member states. This is what Morawiecki said. We ought to be anxious about the gradual transformation of the Union into an entity that would cease to be an alliance of free, equal, and sovereign states and instead become a single, centrally managed organism run by institutions deprived of democratic control by the citizens of European countries, Morawiecki wrote, adding that Warsaw will not give in to any blackmail. This is exactly what the EU wants. They want to be a single, centrally managed organism that runs everything without democratic control. Those are the EU values that van der Leyen is talking about. And she likes to disguise those intentions with the woke ideology and the green ideology. The real intention is the communist states of the European Union. That's the real intention, disguised under this woke, crazy clown world ideology, neoliberal ideology, green ideology, all of that stuff, all of that craziness is just there to distract from what the EU really wants to do. This is what the Law and Justice Party actually has in mind. These are the changes, the key changes for this court stuff, for this judicial stuff. Number one is lowering the retirement age of judges, but at the same time allowing the president to grant a 5-year exemption to whoever he or she deems worthy. This change forced around 80 top judges in Poland to retire earlier than planned. The second key point, introduction of disciplinary measures for judges, with authorities allowing judges to be sanctioned and investigated for their rulings. The disciplinary procedures were to be carried out by judges appointed via Parliament. And the third key point, allowing Parliament to select judges for the National Council of the Judiciary, an organization responsible for appointing judges. Previously, individuals serving in the National Council of the Judiciary were appointed by fellow judges. I don't see what the hell the big deal is. I'm not a legal expert, but I don't see what the big deal is. Maybe you can make the argument that the ruling party, the Law and Justice Party, starts to gain more control of the judicial system. But look, if the people of Poland voted them in, and if the people of Poland are fine with these changes, then who is the EU to not like this? Who is the EU to lecture them? Who is the EU to, quote, not allow them to do this? The European Union has harshly criticized the reforms, saying it violates the Bloc's democratic standards as it undermines courts' independence and opens them to political interference, as if the judges now are not influenced by the EU and there's no political interference all across the EU from judges, from politicians to judges. Give me an effing break. This is a power grab, a power control grab from the EU. Basically, the EU is just saying, you know what? We're running the courts in every single EU country. And who is Poland to not submit to us? I'll continue to monitor this story because it's an interesting story. If the EU wins, and you want to know what the EU is going to do with Poland, they're going to start withholding funds. They're going to start withholding Poland's rightfully deserved funds for which the Polish taxpayer paid for. The EU is going to withhold that in order to put the screws to Poland, right? That's what they always do because Poland is not using the euro. When you don't use the euro, then you have leverage over the EU. And what does the EU do next? The EU runs the same playbook because they're all a bunch of idiots. The EU runs the same playbook. If you have the euro, then they squeeze you on the euro, right? They squeeze your liquidity. So then people, your citizens can't go to the ATM, they can't pull money out, you have to impose capital controls because you don't have euros, right? The ECB, the central bank, just stops giving euros to the member country that's causing a ruckus. If you're not in the euro, then what does the EU do? As it's going to do with Poland, as it has done with Hungary, well, they start to hold back on your funds. These are the funds that are paid by the taxpayers of that country, right? All the taxpayers, everything, they put in the money for these funds, then to be dished out and allocated to member states in order to build roads, bridges, whatever, infrastructure funds, technology funds, startup funds, human rights funds, whatever this money goes into, right? It goes back to the country. The EU is going to hold back on that money. And they're going to try to squeeze Poland that way so that the people get upset and they say, well, where are our EU funds so that I could get money, a grant in order to do this research or start a business or build this road? And the Polish government's going to have to say, well, we can't get access to those funds because the EU is holding back on those funds. In this case, you probably have a lot of funds for the coup and the lockdowns, the 2-year on and off lockdowns. that the EU imposed on those countries. So you're going to have a lot of businesses who are probably waiting for 5, 10, 20,000 euros in order to get them through what was essentially a lockdown not of their doing, and to help their business survive. Now they're not going to have access to those funds because the EU is going to block them. Those are the tricks that the EU does. And that's how they're going to try to put the squeeze on Poland. Let's see if it works. They're doing the same thing to Hungary right now. Man, the EU is just freaking evil. I mean, they're evil, I'm telling you. Anyway, that's the video. Go to the Duran shop. Pick up a mug, a magic mug, 10% off. Use the code REALNEWS and go to the duran.locals.com. You will find the link for that down below, and look for all of our videos, my videos, Alexander's videos, the Duran's videos on Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, and Super U. Take care.